Good evening, everybody. We're going to get started at 7:06 now. Welcome to this month, March 15th, 2021, our LSS Inside the Operating Room webinar with Dr. Juan Caicedo-Ramirez. Our moderators today are going to be Valeria Valbuena, Guizo Ortega, George Molina, and Minerva Romero Arenas. And thank you for joining us this evening. My name is Joseph Fernandez Mode. I'm an assistant professor of surgery at Duke University. I'm a trauma surgeon and critical care intensivist there. I'm also one of the founding members of the Latino Surgical Society. I'm honored to have you join us all today. The Latino Surgical Society was established to cultivate, nurture, and support the advancement of Latino surgeons. And today's event continues to support this mission. We want to thank our institutional members who have supported the Latino Surgical Society, but also the faculty and trainees at their institutions. We would like to highlight some recent developments in our organization. We recently selected new interns to help with some aspects of the behind the scenes work. We also want to thank the members of the newly appointed Board of Advisors. Last but not least, we want to thank you all, our founding members, for supporting and believing in the organization. We encourage you all to join the Latino Surgical Society as members. We can only grow in influence in our ability to advocate and support for our patients and for Latino surgeons by growing our membership. So I'm going to pass it over for the introduction to Dr. Juan Carlos Caicedo and our moderators.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Valeria Valbuena, and I am a PGY4 general surgery resident at the University of Michigan. Moderating with me today, we have Dr. George Molina, who is a surgical oncologist in the Division of Surgical Oncology at Brigham and Women's Hospital and Dana-Farber Cancer Institute at Harvard Medical School. We will be welcoming Dr. J.C. Caicedo for the third installment of our series. Dr. Juan Carlos Caicedo-Ramirez is an associate professor of surgery and a multi-organ adult and pediatric transplant surgeon at Northwestern Memorial Hospital and Lurie's Children's Hospital. He is the surgical director of the Northwestern Liver Transplant Program, the director of the Living Donor Liver Transplant Program, and Hepatobiliary Surgery. He's also the director and founder of the Hispanic Transplant Program at Northwestern Medicine, which is a first of its kind program that offers culturally competent and congruent care for Hispanic or Latinx transplant patients and their families. He completed his medical training and residency in general surgery in La Universidad Nacional de Colombia. He completed 3 transplant surgery fellowships in kidney, pancreas, and liver transplantation, pediatric abdominal organ transplantation, and hepatobiliary surgery, living donor liver transplantation at Northwestern Memorial Hospital. He completed his training in 2006, and he has remained at Northwestern in the faculty ever since. In his clinical practice, Dr. Caicedo performs abdominal organ transplantation for both adult and children with end-stage organ failure. Dr. Caicedo's academic interests are in outcomes after solid organ transplantation in Hispanic patients particularly, health communication and literacy in solid organ transplantation, and quality of life in solid organ transplantation patients who belong to minoritized backgrounds. He has been the recipient of multiple teaching awards and is a member of national and international transplantation societies, including the governing bodies of transplantation, both here in the United States and in our home country, Colombia. Thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Caicedo.
Well, Dr. Valbuena, thank you very much. It's for me a real pleasure to be with all of you. It's an honor, and I really celebrate what you have done, and I'll be happy to help and help our Latino community to keep growing and doing what we have to do to help our population in the U.S. And a special thank you to Dr. Fernandez and Dr. Ortega for inviting me and allow me to share some time with all of you.
It is our pleasure to welcome you. Before we start, I would like to remind all the participants that we will be, you have the opportunity to ask questions during the webinar using the Q&A function. So how about we start, Dr. Caicedo, by talking a little bit about your background. How about you tell our participants today, where do you come from and why did you choose medicine as a career?
Interesting. I'm a Colombian guy. And actually for the Americans, when I arrived to US, I have to clarify that was Colombia with no U.
Not with a U.
Then, okay, that was for no Latinos, that is kind of, what are you talking about? But for Americans, that was the first thing. I'm from Colombia, Bogota. I grew up in a small town close to Bogota, 3 hours from Bogota, Villavicencio. And actually, I started my studies. It's kind of funny. I started in a farm school called Los Pavitos. If you guys remember Spanish, the little Turkey. And I started working in the middle of the Los Llanos Orientales in Colombia and end up in Northwestern. Then for me, it's a big jump. Um, I did medical school. I did the residency. I grew up when we have a lot of trauma in Bogota. I grew up in National University of Colombia, or La Universidad Nacional, and then we're receiving all the trauma from all the drug cartels and bombs. 300 people there arriving at the same time. It was crazy. But also I see a lot of patients dying from organ failure, and there was no people trained on these. And then I started working in transplantation, my home country in kidney transplantation, but we didn't have training for pancreas, liver transplantation, or living donor transplantation. And I started looking where I can go and be trained. Then that's why I started looking to get trained. And I understood that the best place to train was US for transplantation and everything that I want to do.
How did you choose surgery?
Well, it was very interesting. Then first of all, I really like the mindset of surgeons. We just don't talk about problems. We just say, what is the problem? The solution is this. And then we just do it. Like the commercial, just do it. And then that is great. You just don't talk. What's the solution? Let's wait 3 months. I will see you in 6 months. No. What is the problem? Solution. Um, then why general surgery? The first thing that I wanted to be was a neurosurgeon, and I went to my first clinic, and the surgeon came out and said, "Oh, I removed half of their brain." I said, "Oh, great! Let me go and see the patient." I was not very delighted to what I saw. And for transplantation, in general surgery, we fix the issue, and transplantation, we have a very sick patient that is dying, and we transplant them, and they are alive again. Then that click on me, and I really have some passion for the liver. I started in my medical school dissecting some livers, injecting livers, seeing the anatomy. I started thinking, what about divide the liver in two and transplant to people? I didn't know that that was possible. That's called split liver transplant. But years later, I realized that, oh, that was a possible thing. Then I was very interested about that. And the human part, when people are dying and there was no options, and think that there was an option that can save lives and they can have great life with good quality of life, that was something that attracted me deeply.
So you cement this interest in transplantation and then decide to pursue additional training in the US. Can you tell me a little bit more about that transition and what that looked like for you moving to a different country to further your studies?
Absolutely. And I think it's relevant because this is the story of many of us here that we have migrated to this country that all of us we love. Then I'm not going to talk about politics, right? But we Hispanics are so important. We're the largest minority in this country with the fastest growth. And then when I was I start my process, I remember there was a surgeon from actually Chicago who went to La Universidad de Colombia in Bogota. And I said, Profe, I want to go and train how I can do it. And he basically said, you know what, Chato, I think this is very difficult. This is only for people from Mars, the moon, and myself. But this is no, and he cut my wings. And I said, this is something that shouldn't happen. This is possible. Everybody can do it. You have to work hard, yes, but this is doable. Then that was the first thing. Then people say, no, you can do it. Second, I'm in the process. Everybody saying, no, it's impossible. It's very difficult. I think beside everything, I learned how to don't do it. I think I make all the mistakes that you can make in this process to come here. But at the end of the day, what matters is perseverance and have a clear goal. And as long as you decide this is my dream, this is my goal, and you work hard and you don't give up, then everything is doable. Then I remember that I was working already as a kidney transplant surgeon in Bogota, and I started applying to do all the fellow. I really want to have a full training and everything, as you mentioned at the beginning. Then I started applying. A lot of places never answer me. Other places answer me that in 20 years they will take me. They said, in 20 years, I hope I'm retired. Well, no, not really, but you know. And another place, I'm not going to mention where, my boss was very good friend of the boss, and I came to US, stayed 1 week with them, and they offered me to be a PA for a year before I was able to do the transplant fellowship. I said, okay, that doesn't sound right. I'm already surgeon. I'm already doing kidney transplants, and you want me to be a PA for a year? Mm. Then you know what? And here I think it's also relevant. You don't give up your dream. And I didn't have any contact in Northwestern. I didn't know anybody at Northwestern, and I didn't even speak English. I was in Indiana University for 2 months. That was my, you know, my time to learn a little English. That was very poor, and it's still poor, but it's still now I just lose, I just do it. Uh, and I came to Chicago as a tourist with camera bag, with my dream, no tie, no jacket, nothing. And I saw on internet, I looked for who was the boss. I was actually past president of the American Society of Transplant Surgeons, Dr. Stewart. And I said, if I go close, well, I was planning to come to Chicago, and there's the American Society of Transplant, no, the American uh, American College of Surgeons and everything else. And I said, if I go, I pass close by to Northwestern, I was told, and I asked to talk with the big boss. Then that's another message that I want to give. Sometimes people are afraid to talk with the big bosses, and actually, those people are usually very nice. You need to be friend of the whoever opened the door, the assistant, and the big boss. Middlemen always create trouble. They never solve issues. They create trouble. But the big guys always are nice. Then you have to talk with them. Then when I broke, well, we came with our friends from Indiana University that were learning English. We took a trolley in Navy Pier, and 2 miles later, I saw Northwestern. So, my God, I'm here. And I told my friends, go have fun. I'm going to look for my future, literally. And I start with my camera bag, walking with my broken English from building to building. They told me transplant is there. I went to the floor, front desk, and I asked to talk with the big guy. I'm sure. And who are you? Well, I'm a crazy Colombian guy with all. I'm a surgeon and I want to do training and all of these things. And then I just want to see if there's an opportunity. Do you have an appointment? No, I don't have any appointment. But I just want to see. And I was ready to wait for them, whatever they tell me. If they say wait here for a week, I will wait outside at a week if it's needed. And he was very kind. Actually, the assistant, no, the administrator came out and asked me about a CV. Some of you probably won't remember, but I have my CV in a floppy disk. You remember what is a floppy disk?
Do you hand them the floppy disk?
I handled the floppy disk. My CV was not fancy at all. I'm a Colombian guy. We do a lot of trauma. We good surgeons because we have all these things in Latin America. All of us, we have great training, but we don't do research or anything like that too much. Then, and she was an angel. He showed the CV, told him what I was interested. He said, I'm busy right now, but if you wait an hour, I will talk to you. Then I said, please, of course, I will wait an hour. He came out with the second on board. That was my former boss, Dr. Abecas, that was also past president of the American Society of Transplant Surgery. Then big guys. That's why I'm saying it. And they asked me. And actually, I was learning the previous week, my English teacher was saying in American culture, you go straight to the point. We as a Latin guys or Hispanic guys, we always said, how Valeria, how are you? How are your family? And then Valeria, I'm coming here because blah, 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 blah. We don't go straight to the point. Even is not nice. But that's some of our difference. For Americans, go to the point. Then I say, well, okay, if that is the American style, straight to the point. And I told them, I want to do fellowship in kidney, pancreas, liver. I want to do pediatrics. I want to do a living donor liver transplantation, hepatobiliary, whatever take me. We talked for an hour and a half. I don't know how, because my English was so bad, but we did. And actually, the fellow that they have at that time was from Chile. He showed me the hospital. Then I returned. And at the end, they said, we'll consider you. Now you have to pass all the USMLE testing and get everything, but we will consider you. Took me 3 years. I made all the mistakes that you can do in this process. I'm expert, PhD in how not to do it. But at the end, the opportunity was there. Then that is a message for a lot of people. When you get rejected, that's fine. Einstein, he was told that was bad in mathematics, as he's Einstein now, right? Everyone that has done something at the beginning, always they were told that were no good. Michael Jordan also at the beginning, he was saying that was bad at that thing. He couldn't be part of the team of his school and then become Michael Jordan. But the point is, we need only one door open. We can knock the door in 100. If 99 said no, doesn't matter. Keep going. You need one. The only thing is you don't know if it's the first one of the 100th. You don't give up. You just smile and keep going. And basically, the opportunities can come up, but only if you look for them and if you literally knock the door. And actually, that was my pathway to uh, to arrive at Northwestern. And again, you have to realize that I'm coming from Los Pavitos, the little Turkey, little farm school in Colombia, to Northwestern. I think it's 10 in the nation now as a university, and in transplant surgery is, it has a relevant name. Then again, everything is possible as long as you work hard and you put your mind, your soul, your everything, and then you don't give up. And if you have rejection, you just say, let's keep going. My opportunity will come up. And now I learned Dr. Ortega now is in Harvard. Now Dr. Fernandez is in Duke. You are in Michigan. We're all over the place. Then this is, I think the societies is important is just to tell our other Hispanics that this is doable, that our medical students that are Hispanic, that they should go to surgery. A lot of people are saying, no, surgery is so difficult, don't apply, you can't do it. And that is not true. Proof, all of you are testament of this is doable. Then, no, yeah.
That is so great to hear, Dr. Caicedo. So you finish your requirements and you start one out of three fellowships at Northwestern and to become a specialist in transplantation. Did you ever imagine that you were going to stay? It seems like a lot of your inspiration to become a transplant surgeon was from back home in Colombia.
Right. No, actually, I was initially considering to go back. And actually, I said I want to train in everything is because it's very hard to go back, right? Oh, let me train these and then return in 1 year. No, I said, if I train in everything. Transplant mindset. What is the problem? Let's fix it all and then I'm done. And then I will do what I need to do. Then initially, I was planning to go back. Then, and actually, for difficulties in my country, what was happening. Then at the end, was not the right time to return, and they offered me. Initially, they said you have to go back to your country. I said, yeah, absolutely, that is what I'm planning for. But as I receive a great training, now that opened the door to start. And then my boss understood the need for diversity and to target the Hispanic community. There was nobody. I'm surprised because even though we're the majority on the, for example, we're the largest minority in transplantation, minorities are the majorities on the waiting list. And for example, and nobody had a program dedicated to Hispanics. Then my boss understood that, and besides doing all these transplants that I mentioned, also, and I couldn't return to my home country, then I was feeling like I'm letting my people down. Then I think um, oh, in a in a way, developing a program for Hispanic was a way for me to feel like I was contributing my own community. Then and that's why it was one of the motivation to start with or develop the Hispanic transplant program.
So that's actually a great transition into our next question. The Hispanic transplant program has really changed the way how the field sees improving access and cultural competency for our patients, our Hispanic and Latinx patients with end-stage organ disease. So can you tell our participants a little bit more about how it started and how it has grown over the years?
Right. Then basically I finished my fellowship. Then I'm the junior guy. I have to do everything. I was training everything, but they said, well, okay, then you have to contribute beside a lot of clinical work. What else you can do? Um, then well, we said, well, I would like to serve my community. I didn't speak English. I suffered during my fellowship like you can't believe. I sweat oil and blood doing presentations and talking because it was very hard. It was no, it's not my language, and I saw all our patients suffering. Then I said, there's a big need, and maybe I can do something. And I start the program by myself. I was the only one. Then you have to then you identify the issue. You have to convince the hospital. The hospital, are you sure that you want to attract all the Hispanics? Is this a good idea? Maybe it's the right thing to do, but should you attract all of them? Maybe they don't have insurance, right? Is that a good idea? Then you have to start the process to develop. If you want to start a program, you said, give me 50 million, I will create a program, zero program will be developed. Then you start from somewhere, right? Then you have to make the case. Then you say, okay, I'm going to do it. What is the problem? I need to have a space and time. And then for kidney transplantation, for everybody knows there's different cycles of dialysis, Monday, Wednesday or Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday or Friday and Saturday. Then I said, well, I need to have 2 days per week where we can accommodate people of different dialysis cycles. I'm going to do everything in Spanish. I was doing everything at the beginning, and eventually I start getting patients little by little. Then I said, I need to have somebody in the front desk that speaks Spanish. Then I start talking in the floors in the hospital. Who speaks Spanish? Oh, this assistant I need. Who is the boss? Let me talk to you. I need your person. These 2 days per week. Then it slowly I start getting somebody in the front desk. We hired the social worker. That is the only person that we hired for the program, and she was helping us to do outreach. She was talking with patients in Spanish, the families, and that is very important. This is something about we as Hispanics or Latinos or Latinx, whatever now you want to call us. Um, we are very family oriented. You have to include the family to be successful in whatever we need to do. And then we start including the family, we start educating them, we start helping them to get the right insurance and everything before coming to us. And she generates a lot of patients, like a 40% of our volume. Before we start Hispanics in Northwestern, we're only 9% of the kidney transplant. This is high volume center. We have done more than 5,000 kidney transplants. We do around 200, 250 kidney transplants per year. Then this is high volume. Hispanics were only 9%. Then now I have 50 people with me that are bilingual, bicultural. Then that now we have a big team, but we start from you know just doing it. And now we have been able to grow the number. For example, we have improved access to transplant care in Hispanics in 91%, measured by the additions to the waiting list. This is comparing before and after implementation of the Hispanic transplant program. We also increased the number of living donor kidney transplantation by 74%, when in whites it's only 4%, the growth in that period of time. And we also decreased the disparity between Hispanic and whites in 70% with significant p values. We were the only ones in the country. Actually, then afterwards, I started thinking, well, everybody should have Hispanic programs because Hispanics are all over the place, but actually nobody had any type of initiative focused on Hispanics. That was our one surprise after start doing some research. Then the second question said, well, maybe what I'm seeing here, everybody is doing it or is finding the same outcomes all over the place. Then it was a surprise that nobody else was having the outcome that we're having here. Then here in the city, in Chicago, as well in big cities or big, in states with big Hispanic communities, where they have big Hispanic communities, I start comparing ourselves with centers in Florida, Texas, Arizona, California, New York, Connecticut, all over the place, Texas. Then I said, well, okay. Then I start sending application, for example, for the NIH. And the NIH to saying we need to develop culturally sensitive initiatives to take care of these patients. They start telling me, good idea, JC, but there's nobody that can do this type of cultural sensitive initiatives. And then I have to do another research to be able to prove them wrong, tell them, yes, we Hispanics or minorities, there is in transplantation, there is a very diverse workforce. We have a lot of Hispanics. And actually, I can tell you that in the biggest transplant program that transplant 80% of the kidneys in the nation, around 71 or 74% of those centers has at least one bilingual transplant surgeon or transplant nephrologist. The bottom line, there's a lot of diversity, but nobody is using their cultural background or language, right, to help to provide services to their communities. Then I finally was able to convince the NIH, we should do this type of cultural sensitive initiatives and improve patient care. And and actually I was surprised when I was doing this application, also a lot of rejections, right? You don't get it in the first time that you go. Then another thing that I have to realize that even though minorities are the majorities on the waiting list in the nation, 64% of patients waiting for a kidney are minorities. If you analyze all the kidney transplant programs in the nation, only 9% of the transplant programs have a website translated in different language beside English. Then what I'm telling the rest of the nation, transplant community, is you're missing the boat. You don't understand the market that you're serving. If you have more minorities, you have to devote energy to target them. You have to personalize the care of your patients. It's not like a one fit all strategy. You need to personalize your care. Then only 9% websites translated different language. And when I was looking for any type of cultural sensitive approach or initiatives, I was looking for any bad translated letter. I was not looking high quality, anything. Only 4% of the transplant program has any type of culturally sensitive strategies. Then eventually we're able to get an NIH grant, an R01, um, to teach others. Now the guy from the Little Turkey, Little School, now I'm teaching people in Mayo Clinic in Arizona, and teaching the guys in Baylor in Dallas how to implement cultural sensitive approach. And it's no rocket science. It's just to understand our culture. Then that's why I'm inviting. We're doing it today in English, but I hope next time we're talking in Spanish. We have to maintain our culture, our language, because when we are trying to take care of our population, it's very important the cultural competency as well congruency. It's not only to understand the culture, but also to be part of that culture, as well to be linguistically competent and congruent, meaning not only to understand the language, but also speak that language. I think that can make the difference. Then we, as the Latino, well, hopefully one day you can make me member, I don't know. We need to maintain our language and culture to be able to target our community and to have higher success. Again, it's not rocket science, but as long as you understand the culture, you understand the language, you can change the dynamic.
Dr. Caicedo, this is so important. I think that this message of utilizing part of our both professional and personal identity to facilitate the care of our patients is likely resonates to a lot of our membership. You have done very impactful work in this area, and it sounds like it probably took a lot of time. Can you tell us a little bit about life outside of the operating room? How have you achieved work-life balance, integration in our demanding subspecialty?
Right. I think I have a different phases of my life. Then now I'm proud to tell the good, the bad, and the ugly. Maybe I'm getting old now. I have my gray hair here and getting hair here. But before I came to US, I was a good boy. I was a competitive swimmer. I was playing piano, guitar, art. I was in art not because I was good, I was bad, but I was trying to improve my skill. And then I start medicine, and then all the good things I forget. Then start working. Came to US, worked hard, 3 fellowship. That means I'm kind of a little crazy, right? And it's very demanding fellowship, but it's a lot of fun. But then I start working so hard at the beginning as a faculty. Then I forget to exercise, to relax, to do music, to all the good stuff. And we, as a physician, especially surgeons, we have a mindset that we go straight up, but straight up direct to the wall. Then, in some point, 5 years ago, I burned out. Now I'm proud to say it because a lot of people are afraid to even mention it. Then I lost partners because they're burning out, and I even didn't know what that means. And in some point, I'm an energetic guy, but in some point, my battery was off. It was zero battery. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't uh, uh, enjoy. I love to eat. This is my passion. And I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't enjoy myself. My family was affecting everything. And I said, what is wrong with me? And then I started looking for help. And then I realized I lost partners for these. They were leaving. And then we said, this is wrong. And I started learning about it, look help, and I went to the head. Again, I always go to the head. Who is the person that knows the most of these things? I found her, and I started seeing her, and I remember I was finishing a second liver transplant one night, and then I have chest pain. I said, what is going on? Then I finished the case. You're crazy. I finished the case as the anesthesiologist doing EKG. I was fine. They did all the checking. I'm okay. Then I said I went to the expert, and they said, "Well, you are no." Oh, I thought I'm depressed or what, and it's not. And she said you're burnt out. Then I started learning, and I sent an email to my boss, to the chair of surgery, the president of the all the medical organization, and said, "I love this place. I'm a purple guy. I came here and I stay here. I'm not leaving. The problem is you have to face the problem. Then we know what is the problem. I need to create the new environment to change." Then I start changing my team. I start changing myself, changing my team, and the how we see life. Then basically we have to work hard. Yes, we can get NIH grant, do all the clinical work, we can do all the stuff, but we have to focus on ourselves and our families. Now I'm happy to report after burnout and everything, and I fight it straight ahead and talk to everyone. Oh, that's another thing. I'm a Hispanic guy, right? And I didn't train in U.S. Well, the medical school or residency. Then also was harder for me to come out and say, oh, you feel I trained in Colombia where this is for. Mm. And then you never say, "Oh, I'm tired. I want to go sleep." No, 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 no. You work hard. You never give up. And to to say, "Oh, I'm tired. I think I have to sleep," then probably was not a good idea. Like a Latin guy or Latino to say that probably was. I was afraid, but think things happen at the right time. At that point, I was very strong in the sense I was the busiest surgeon, transplant surgeon. I have an NIH grant now. And then I was facing this, and I was able to open up. And then the whole uh, divisional transplant, we did even retreats with the whole department of surgery, and then we start talking about wellness and working to avoid burnout. And now I can say I'm playing tennis 4 hours per week, 4 to 5, and a tennis league and a class for private lessons, group lessons, and league. I have a teacher. My teacher, piano teacher, is from Colombia. I'm taking Zoom classes every Saturday, 2 hours. I have 2 hours of piano classes now. I'm so proud, or I'm so happy to. Now I'm pushing my kids. They're in classes. They say, I'm studying more than you guys. Then I'm very busy. I'm doing more than you. This weekend I'm pushing them. Then anyhow, my point now is, seriously speaking, we need to work hard, yes, but we have to protect ourselves. Then I'm doing exercise and eating better. I'm losing weight. I gained so much weight here in US, and now I have lost 20 pounds. I'm going down. Then I have to lose 30 more. But now I'm in a mission. Then, then I'm exercising. I'm meditating. I am I'm practicing piano and classes. Then that is just to relax and enjoy more time with my family. Then I'm extremely busy, but at the same time, now I know nobody's going to protect me. I have to dedicate time for me, then and my family. And then you have to schedule it. You have a time to work, and there's a point you never end your work every day. You have to say that's it, and then go home. Then after this talk or this dialogue, I'm going home, and then I'm going to start focusing on other things. But it's like you schedule it. Time for you, time for your family, time for with your loved one, and that is very essential. And sometimes that's this is something that people don't realize, especially minorities. We work hard, and then sometimes we forget to protect ourselves.
That is such an important point, Dr. Caicedo, and thank you so much for sharing some of those struggles. I feel like so much of this panels and it's about talking about the accolades without talking about the struggles and how to manage it. So this is incredibly inspirational. We're going to transition to some questions from the audience, and Dr. Molina is going to moderate this part.
Thank you, Dr. Caicedo. I will say that I really appreciate your honesty, and I feel like this last part of your talk, I personally needed to hear. So thank you. It really means a lot. So we have one question from the audience, and it says, Dr. Caicedo, thank you for sharing your story with us. I'm wondering, how have the challenges you have experienced influenced your relationship with your patients?
Right? No, actually, now has influenced my relation with patients a lot, because now everything is cultural sensitive. Then we develop that Latin kind of angle. The relation not only has changed how we relate with patients, with my colleagues in the OR. Sometimes I have salsa, sometimes I have merengue in the OR, and then everybody at 3 in the morning is happy, then using something or listening something new. But also the relation with my people, my team. I can tell you now, even fellows, I have trained 12 Hispanic fellows. The From the 4 fellows, transplant fellows that we have now, 3 are Hispanic currently. The next one, from the new 2 that are arriving, 1 is Hispanic. Then certainly we can influence our environment, right? Then I think the influence is at all levels.
So the next question we received was, as you stated, our people are the largest minority within the US, yet we are significantly underrepresented within clinical trials and medical research, both within transplant surgery and in medicine in general. What, in your opinion, is key to improving the representation of our communities within the medical literature?
Right? Then all of us, it's a challenge to all of us. We are the one that needs to educate the patient. I can tell you, my consent rate for Hispanics is very high. I mean, it's very rare that Hispanics say no to me, but I convince them because I talk to them. Hispanics really respect the priests and the MDs. MDs in Spanish mean, for all of you, or the ones that don't remember, medio Dios, have God. They really respect us. And the problem is physicians feel like, I'm so important, I don't have time to talk with you. Actually, the opposite. I spend the time with the patient. I'm like a lazy priest. I prefer to do education once in 1 hour to 10 patients instead of being one by one and spending the same amount in a 1 hour with every patient. Then I guess we need to consent the patient. We need to educate the patient to make sure that they can consent. Why African American, Hispanics, and others don't consent for trials? Is because they are afraid, for good reasons. All the African Americans, they have been mistreated. They're Hispanic, they feel like the same. But the Hispanics, we go there and start educating, then they will trust us and they will say, yes, we're doing a stem cell transplant with kidney transplant. And now we have people without immunosuppression for the rest of their lives. And this is a complicated trials when you're doing taking kidneys as well, bone marrow, stem cell transplant from people are doing it. And we are consenting Hispanics. We're doing it because we created a Hispanic liver transplant program. Actually, the donation rate for liver in Hispanics is 88%, more than kidneys. And I'm removing 70% of the livers. Then when some people say that the Hispanic don't consent, it's no patient's fault. It's our fault. We are not communicating with them. Then I think here's where I would challenge all of us to participate and educate them. And if we speak in Spanish and speak to the family, we can change that dynamic.
Thank you. This is a great question, I think. If you could give yourself, your younger self, some advice, what would that be?
Couple things. One, always maintain your focus in yourself and your family. Then we work hard, but we shouldn't forget ourselves, our families. That we can accomplish any goal, but don't forget who you are and what is important in your life. One of my teachers used to say, the day that you're dying, you're not going to be thinking that the biggest transplant or pancreatic resection or whatever surgery you do, you're not going to be thinking about that. You're going to regret if you don't spend time with your family, your loved ones. Then we can work hard, but it's still based to the basics. And the basics is you, first of all, and your family. Then I will be careful with that because in some point I was working so much, my life, these different cycles, and my life was spending 95% in work and not so much time for yourself, for your health, for your loved one, for your family, your kids, your friends, your faith, your religion, your internal peace, and all of that is life. Then if I have to start again, I will trying to focus on that. Then I won't allow myself to increase so much my weight because I was in this balance. Then now I'm working hard trying to lose all the extra pounds. But again, it's trying to find my center and what is important. One of
So
them.
we we have four questions. Maybe we can get to some of them. So in honor of the fact that this is match week, and I know that a lot of the participants could be anticipating where they've matched. There's two questions. So one of them is, what makes students stand out to you during an away rotation? And then I think a second one, which is kind of similar, is in people who are thinking about a career in transplant surgery. Transplant surgery has this reputation of being very unpredictable. And just if you can comment more about that, and if students are having, kind of second thoughts, they love transplant surgery, but the unpredictability, scares them away.
All right. Then two comments. When we are looking for somebody, I'm looking for two main things. One, passion. And the Latins, we need to bring, or Latinos, we need to bring our passion. Whoever has passion and clear goals and put your energy, that person is going to be successful. And second is to have an open mind and the willingness to learn every day. So if somebody arrived here, I know everything, I know that they already reached the incompetency level. Then I like the fellow that come humble and is eager to learn. I know that that person is going to be better every day. I think I'm better surgeon than 10 years ago than 20 years ago. And I hope we'll be better in the next 10 years. but every day you need to learn. The day that you start learning, you can die. Well, I can die. That's the first, passion and open to learn every single day. The second question, I agree. And as part of my process to change things, I want to control how I work. Then we are pumping kidneys. We are perfusing. We're doing cold perfusion for kidneys. We're controlling. We can keep kidneys 40, 50 hours, 60 hours. Then we're not keeping so long. But my point is we can do transplant during the day. And we'll start perfusing livers. And then my goal is eventually control 70 to 80% of procurement and start liver transplant early in the morning. And actually, I'm telling my team, my goal is not to be number one in the nation by number. My goal is to have the happiest team doing the transplant during the day. If we can do one liver transplant every day between 7 or 8 to 3 or 4 p.m., we will have the happiest team, and we'll do 300 or more liver transplant. We'll be number one in the nation by number. That we can control some of them, not all. There's technology. We'll start using these pumps to control that. And I before I retire, I make sure that we can control. 1 week, I have 10 kidneys transplant to do. And I did 10 during the day. I refused to do anyone overnight. And all of these kidneys function right away. And then this is something that is doable and is part of my thing now is we need to improve patient care, yes, have the best outcome, but also protect ourselves. Now, the Transplant Society, based on all of these things, is not because me, but we help to push the Transplant Society. Now we have a wellness committee, and then we're talking about all these things. Now the all transplant surgeon that we shouldn't sleep. No, actually, I learned 99% of the population needs to sleep. There's only 1% of the population that doesn't need sleep. I am part of the 99. I'm no 1%. But at some point, I was thinking I was trying to sleep 3 hours, 4 hours. That is not enough, and that was silly. That was a mistake. But you learn as long as you learn.
So we have a few questions that we won't get to all of them, but let's see. So it's one question. How would you describe your teaching style in the operating room?
I think it's a combination. Then we want to see the fellow knows. I believe in the 5 P's of happiness and success: proper planning, prevent poor performance. Then my teaching style start with having a fellow that's prepared, proper planning to prevent poor performance. As long as the fellow knows what to do, for example, they need to know all the anatomy and donor recipient, plan A, B, and C, then execute your plan. Then transplant, and our program is well known because it's very surgical. Then fellows has the opportunity to do the operation and to be independent. We don't go with them to do procurement. Then we give independence. We do very complex cases, but everybody has different levels. Then based on your level, you can do more. You can dream to be a good pediatric transplant surgeon if you don't know how to do an AV fistula. Then you need to do a good AV fistula to reconstruct 2 or 3 arteries in the kidney. And if you do a good job there, you can do a better job in the pancreas bench when you're reconstructing all the pancreatic vessels for a pancreas transplant. If you do a good job there, then you can do a better liver transplant. If you do a whole liver transplant, now you can consider to do a partial liver transplant, pediatric or living donor. Then I just want to help them to grow their skills, and they need to work hard in all these skills and go to the basics. Then you can do the fancy stuff, you can do the easy. Demonstrate that you can do the easy and you go and grow.
So sorry, there's a baby in the background. It's my 4-month-old who's crying right now, but my wife is with him. But so
congratulations. That's
thank you. Yeah, he's adorable. He's adorable. So we've modeled this this webinar to modeled it after the Inside the Actors Studio, where James Lipton would interview actors that were kind of coming up, and he closed off with a rapid fire questions. And these are all like 1-answer questions. So we'll toss them at you now and see your responses. So first question is,
What's one word or one sentence or one what?
They're
Really short.
yeah, really short. Yeah, like one word and one sentence, like really short. Yeah. So first question is, what is your favorite? What is your least favorite word?
No se puede. You cannot do it. I hate it. And I hate it. Somebody said it's not possible. I hate it. Said no, find it. You don't know now, but figure out that. I hate it with passion. No se puede. You can't do it. Like no. Hate.
What sound or noise do you love?
The sea, the wind, to be in a beach, be in los llanos orientales, música llanera. Love it.
What is one of your distinctive operating room preferences?
Distinct. I'm a Latin guy. I have Latin music in my room. People needs to be happy. If you are upset, get out of here. Right? And no music that make you cry or nobody yelling or you need to, somebody singing.
If you had to choose only one, would it be kidney transplants or liver transplants?
Oh, liver. I'm a liver guy. I do all, but my heart and passion is in liver.
And what is your favorite thing about the operating room?
The favorite thing is the challenge and solve the challenge. You are dying and I will figure out something to do something. And the contrast is to see the smile of people, the family. That is so beautiful. And the small kid is smiling when they survive. It's so beautiful.
And what is your least favorite thing?
Be hungry. I hate to be hungry. I love to eat.
And then let's see, what profession other than being a surgeon would you like to attempt?
If I incarnate again, I'll be a transplant surgeon. And if you said, I'm going to give you $100 million and I can do whatever, I'm still doing this. I will travel a lot, but I love to be in the OR. And now on my stage, help others doing the difficult case. Last night they were doing a heart liver transplant, helping them, okay, do this, do that. I love it. And it still will be a transplant surgeon.
Well, I'm going to turn over to Dr. Romero to close us off since we're close in on time.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Caicedo, for joining us tonight. This is our third installment of Inside the Operating Room. I would like to thank all of our participants who tune in this evening. If you are interested in learning more about the Latino Surgical Society or becoming a member, you can find us on our website, which is latinosurgicalsociety.org. Good evening to everyone, and congratulations to all those who matched today.